proclamation of retirement for James W. Ruberg, police officer. We have a proclamation, a salute to our city and county first responders, Chris Haid. We have 3 Mayor's Award recipients, Bill Chaplin, Braden Hill, and Paige Seaworth. And we have a presentation, Alliant Annual Report. Nancy, I'm not saying Nancy.
It's not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing her, but.
She'll be here at the regular meeting. It'll be about a 10-minute presentation.
Okay. All right, we have a motion for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance vacating and selling a portion of Gordon Street right-of-way located west of Baumberger Street and a portion of Baumberger Street right-of-way located south of Monroe Street. Mr. Tisland.
No changes from the previous reading. Again, the planning commission voted 4-0 to recommend approval of the right-of-ways as shown here, with Gordon Street right-of-way being a dead end that only serves the applicant's property, and Baumberger being an unused and unmaintained right-of-way with the lack of ability for future travelway across or through this property. And again, the applicant owns all the property to the west and south of the proposed right-of-way vacations, as well as a portion on the north side near their property at 2005 Cliff Road, Jerry and Rebecca Sherwood.
Did anybody get any emails on that? Would you guys care to bump that to the?
Yeah, I think we should waive the third or waive the second for the third. If there's no objections
Sounds
next
good.
time.
Okay, that would be great. I haven't heard anything on that. Do you guys have anything you want to add before we move forward?
No.
Okay, good deal. Number 6, motion for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance rezoning the property located at 2635 Mount Pleasant Street from C2 General Commercial to R4 Multi-Residential zoning district. Mr. Tisland, anything else on that?
Again, no changes, going from C2 General Commercial to R4 Multifamily Residential, similar to the property to the south and to the east. Request by Mike Hoffman to construct the 3 additional apartment units, 3 units each within this area, and maintain a 50-foot buffer area or open space on the north side of the property. This plan was set in place in 2001 with the southern 2 3-plexes being constructed around that time, and the northern 3 have not been constructed, and he's wishing to move this project forward based on that previous plan they had. Looking at constructing them for accessibility and aging in place is what he described them.
Right on. Council, do you guys have any problem with bumping this one as well?
I don't. Sounds good.
Okay, good deal. Moving forward, number 7 is a resolution establishing 2 no parking areas in the 500 block of Terrace Drive. Mr. McGregor.
Hello, Nick McGregor. Do you have the maps, Eric? If not, I have them.
Were they on your flash drive? Oh.
We had a request from Burlington Community School District for a no parking zone in the blue. Currently, there's parking allowed. The request was from no parking from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on school days. And then the next map shows you the current parking situation along Terrace Drive. In the red, you can see that there's no parking at any time. The green allows it, and then there's several different varieties of time frames and whether or not it's on school days. Chris Clements, the operations manager, went to property owners adjacent to the the proposed no parking area, and 5 of them were against it, 2 of which sent letters in for your packet. 1 of them was in favor, and then the other one couldn't be contacted. Superintendent Cohen will likely be here for the council meeting, but from a public works standpoint, we were kind of neutral in the discussion. I believe Chris talked with the police department and the fire department, saying that there wasn't much good or bad for the no parking. So
What's the school's purposes in requesting this?
to try and keep some kids in the building, it's too easy access to let them leave. That's some of their reasoning behind it, but I believe drug-related issues may be at hand too. So
I still don't understand how, I need to get some more information, I guess, but I don't understand how this is supposed to help their situation.
I
Just
think
doesn't
their,
really make sense
part
to
of
me.
their goal is to have controlled access to their parking lot. Is that,
they're also coupling this with some stricter parking enforcement on their own parking lot.
so with that stricter enforcement on their parking lot, they're just trying to control where students park and limit their ability to park somewhere else and having an easier route to leave campus or interact with campus. But it's a school issue. I kind of understand where they're coming from on that, but you also have received multiple, not just the two, but multiple other comments from the adjacent residents and
Verbal
terms of their
comments were given to
concerns.
Chris that they did not agree with no parking on that side.
When I was in that building, the only kids that parked there were the ones that couldn't park in the parking lot. So I'm assuming now the parking lot is open to every kid in school.
I couldn't answer
Yeah.
that question for you.
They have adequate spots for parking in that area. I know that, just speaking from an understanding, they had a significant amount of students that they were having issues with this last school year, leaving campus during the course of the day, and they're trying to figure out ways to try to address and limit the amount of that's going on. But to give a better discussion of that, you need someone from the school to present that.
Well, let's wait till we hear from the school.
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna have to, but I just, I don't know even after hearing from the school if stepping on the toes of, I try to put myself in the shoes of the people that we're dealing with, and if it was me and I lived there, I don't feel like a school's issue should have to affect, my company coming to my house, or, me be able to park in front of my own home. I just, well, I don't see it. But, yes.
It's strange that that's the only place in the entire area there where has been parking allowed.
You're right.
And,
Yeah.
I know when I went to school there, parking was not allowed on that street. I don't know when they changed it and allowed parking, so I know most of those houses along, that drive have adequate parking for vehicles, and they're off-street parking in their drives.
My only thing is, why can't they just say, okay, kids, you can't park here anymore? You have to park in the parking lot and call her good. And if they have some kids park there, then deal with it in school. Why do we have to make this a city issue?
Well, it'd be hard to determine who is a kid parking out on the street, I suppose. I mean, really.
Chances are during the school day, no one's gonna be able to park out there anyway, because the kids take up all the parking spots. You're right, let's hear from the school.
Right on, right on.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Nick?
I could see maybe that around the curve there, to limit the parking until you come to, let's say, 504 to 700. But I don't, like I say, we need to hear from the school district.
I'm sure we'll hear from more than the school before we meet next week, so.
Yes.
Yeah. But, no other questions for Nick? You guys good with him? Thank you, Mr. McGregor.
Thank you, Nick.
Okay, number 8, we have a resolution approving the final plat of, before we do that, I want to say this before I forget. Jim celebrating a birthday, he's 76.
76.
That's right, old timer.
He's well preserved, isn't he?
Yeah. My dad's 79, but
He soaks his body in salt every night before he goes to bed. All right. Crack myself up with that. Huh?
Jim Fernell's birthday,
He's 76.
Yes,
It was yesterday.
Yesterday.
yesterday,
But he tries to milk it out
so
for
was
a
my
week.
wife's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, cool.
She's quite a bit younger than him, though. That's
My wife
really no
was-
comparison.
Most people are.
Except the old codgers in the council.
All
Which would be
right.
you guys.
I read
Kid,
that letter.
yeah, she was just a kid 3 weeks ago. All right, before I keep laughing. Number 8 is resolution approving the final plat of Borden subdivision. Mr. Tesla?
This is a 3-lot subdivision located at the southeast corner of Steuben and Cliff Road. It's an existing house on 1 lot currently, and they're desiring to subdivide it into 3 equal lots, similar to what's on the west side of Cliff Road. As you note, there is a garage there that is going to be removed from that location. There will be a property line very close to that, as well as the driveway. But this would be approximately 90 by 140-foot lots, three of those in this location, with the existing house remaining on Lot 1 and then opening up 2 other lots for future construction and development.
Council, you guys have any issues with that?
Good use of land.
All right, sounds like we're all good. Excellent. All right, let's move to the proposed consent agenda. First is a resolution approving final acceptance, final payment, and release of retention monies for the 2015 Cascade Sewer Sanitary Trunk Extension. Brian?
No, Councilman Davidson's been waiting for this one for a while. Okay, so this was the 2015 Cascade Sewer Sanitary Trunk Extension. It's where we installed a sanitary sewer within the existing Cascade box sewer that runs from Madison down to Cascade Bridge. This is to process final payment to A-Bolt and the release of it retention within 30 days. As-built costs were $717,960.33. The original contract was just shy of $700,000. We had a couple of fairly substantial change orders, some quantity adjustments down, and there was $17,500 of liquidated damages assessed to the contractor for the delay in completion of construction. This is within the project budget. Council questions?
I have no question.
You're satisfied?
Yes.
Gotta get her done.
Thank you.
All right.
It is done.
Thank you.
All right, gotta give them the money. Gotta give that money. It's not done till they get paid. Number 2 is a resolution approving purchase of replacement equipment for traffic control along Roosevelt Avenue. Mr. McGregor.
Property maintenance noticed an issue with the camera at Market Road and Roosevelt. You've probably noticed that it's kind of out of sync right now. It's currently in constant call. The purchase would replace the camera system, and then the controller would be reprogrammed. Also, Mason Road is not in sync with the rest of Roosevelt Avenue. That controller is outdated, so we'd be purchasing that and replacing that too.
I know there'll be some happy drivers about that, so. You guys have any questions for Mr. McGregor?
Yeah, here's my time for me to learn something. What does constant call mean?
That's a good question. It brings up the frequency of which it calls for a change in signals. Ryan might be able to better describe that, but
Here you go, as you speak.
The way constant call works is with the camera system in place, normally there's certain timings that are applied, and as a vehicle approaches, it resets those timings. With constant call, in this case, it's on Market Street, so anytime a vehicle comes up, it trips the signals over to allow Market Street to depart. Instead of holding Roosevelt open, it now gives priority towards every vehicle that approaches on Market. Where previously, when it's functioning properly, a vehicle shows up, it trips that there is a vehicle here, it continues its Roosevelt timing until appropriate, and then more vehicles will queue up on Market, and then it lets a number of vehicles through instead of just tripping for every single vehicle that comes through.
Great, I learned.
When
Thank
did
you.
that problem start? I usually find I'm sitting at market forever.
It's probably been 3 weeks ago,
Okay.
maybe 4. Part of the length at market, and people will have probably noticed all of the side streets on Roosevelt. What was it? I think it was last fall. The DOT redid timings on Roosevelt, and they shortened the amount of time that the side streets get to give priority to Roosevelt. So, not only Market, but all of them, all the side streets approaching have had an impact.
That includes West Avenue?
Yes, West Avenue would have been impacted as well. Division, Kirkwood, Agency. I'm not sure how much of an impact happened at Agency though.
That's all controlled by the state.
The state, basically the city requests timings from the state from time to time. The last time timings were updated was 2001, prior to this. So with the project where the state redid the bridges over Highway 34, that was a time where they were changing timings for that project, and then at the end of that, the timings got changed back to what would be appropriate for the traffic levels that were being seen. So,
You guys
Thank
good?
you. No.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Another job well done. Number 3, next is a resolution authorizing the filing of an application for Resource Enhancement and Protection REAP program for the Flint River Trail along Riverfront in the city of Burlington, Iowa.
This is application, again, for the riverfront portion of the Flint River Trail and some improvements and amenities along the riverfront. The Flint River Trail, I guess, is intended to connect from the Port of Burlington to the portion in Des Moines County, and this would add some amenities and improvements along the riverfront through the use of REAP funds. Again, REAP funds, we're eligible for up to $150,000 maximum based on our population, and there is no local match required. This would probably be a standalone project based on if we get funding or not. And there's, I believe, 3 years to spend the funding, so it'd probably be cycled into future CIP plans.
Excellent. Council?
Nothing.
All right. Good deal. Number 4, a resolution authorizing the filing of applications for the 2017 Certified Local Government CLG grant round for the development of historic design guidelines. Who's gonna handle that?
This is a application, again, we're a certified local government based on having a Historic Preservation Commission. It qualifies us for funding through the state. We've used it in the past to do historic surveys and nominations of historic districts. One thing through our Historic Preservation Commission, they review projects in the local district, and there's no set guidelines for that review. It's just following the National Register guidelines that are very vague, and so it's something they've wanted to have for, I guess, have something more local based on our own standards, not just some national standards. We did program this into the CIP with a $1,500 local match. Would be a rather small project, but those applications are due on August 16th, and we can use staff and Historic Preservation Commission members as in-kind labor as well on their research and development of this. But we do have $1,500 local match and estimate around $10,000 total project possibly.
What's the size of the area this is for?
Our local historic district is the Heritage Hill Historic District, just blocks from approximately Washington up to Highway 34 and 4th Street over to Central, with some of that taken out. And we do have 4 or 5 individual properties, Capitol Theater, the Hibernia Hall, and there's a couple others. But this also could be guidance for those on the National Register as they look to do improvements on their property, which essentially the entire downtown's on the National Register, but particularly it would apply to the local historic district.
And then would act as guidance for the other areas like the depot and the downtown area?
Yeah, the depot's actually on the local register as well, so that would act as guidance on that as well.
But it's mandatory then for the Heritage Hill
These would be
area?
guidelines for when the Historic Preservation Commission, their only approval or review authorities, the exterior appearance is visible from the right-of-way. So if someone goes to change windows or siding or a porch that's visible from the right-of-way, these guidelines would give ideas on what's appropriate to replace it with or design. It's not saying has to be period wood or different things. It more gives them guidance on what can be considered, what are the different options for the homeowners and for the Historic Preservation Commission. Right now, if someone's applying, they want to do work on their home, they have no guidance to say, this is what I want to do. I don't know, I just have to come to the Historic Preservation Commission and see what they say. There's nothing that they can go to and say, if I do this, I'm likely to be approved, or if I do this, I'm not going to be approved. This will give homeowners and building owners a little more upfront review as well, so.
I like it. Council,
Makes sense to me.
we're good? Excellent. Okay, moving right along. Number 5, resolution authorizing the submittal of an application to the EPA for FY17 Brownsfield Area-Wide Planning, BTAWP, grant program for the city of Burlington, Iowa.
This is a program through the EPA that allows for conducting activities that will enable a recipient to develop a comprehensive area-wide plan for assessing cleanup and reuse of brownfield properties. It's not the assessment grant that we did get that goes in and actually evaluates properties. It's more of a planning grant that would allow for evaluating existing environmental conditions, the local market potential, need for infrastructure improvements, strategies for brownfield site cleanup and reuse. So it's, for this one, they're targeting the downtown brownfield properties, what are appropriate reuses for these, and then being able to work with property owners on what are some options for them to reuse their buildings based on some information from the community, from a consultant, and looking at the conditions in the downtown area. This is eligible for up to $200,000 in funding. There's no local match for this. It was something when we did our conference call on our assessment grant, they felt this was a good idea to apply for this and appropriate, and opens you up for hopefully cleanup grants in the future as well. So trying to continue to work with the EPA as much as we can to get us in the loop and show that we're making progress. And then when it comes time to apply for cleanup grants, we have more support and documentation that we've gone through all the steps. And this is just another one along that way, so.
You guys have any questions, comments, concerns you need to bring up? Okay.
Eric, as you do that though, what's the status on that we received 200,000 or awarded 200,000 for the cleanup, or assessment, I'm sorry. What's the status of that?
We just had a follow-up call on our application, talking about what, essentially just going over the application, how they scored it, what they felt was good, and what we may need to work on. We're assigned a project manager, and we're gonna have a work plan that had to be submitted, I believe this month. Charlie's working with Impact 7G on to kind of coordinate and develop that. So we're in that stage right now of developing the work plan and getting that into the APA as far as what steps do we go from here. So kind of in the initial stages of that.
And is there at some point a spot where the council has to approve or formally accept that grant, or?
I'll have to check with Mike Golan on that, yeah.
Okay. And before you can get an engineering firm, like for Impact 7G, I mean, they're doing some of this stuff on the,
Yeah, they work
helping
with-
us get set up, but to have a firm that we use
Yeah, we'll go-
to do this process with us, we need to go through an RFQ process.
Yeah,
So that'll be coming to the city council yet over the next few months.
Council, you guys good?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, number 6 is set date for public hearing, August 15, 2016, for consideration of plans and specifications for the 2016 West Avenue and West Burlington Avenue roundabout, RISE-RM-0977, 643-7D-29. Anything need to be said on that?
Just setting a date for hearing.
Good deal. Hey, I'm gonna move number 3, discussion item up first, so that if they have some things they need to do, they can get rolling. So, discussion item number 3, which is now number 1, swimming pool.
can we give
My name's Carol Bartles, but pretend that I'm Vince Copeland. Vince is our president of the South Hill Neighborhood Association, and he's not available today. So we've written up a little bit about what we're proposing. And this is Dana Atkins. She's the past president of the South Hill Neighborhood Association.
Everybody knows who she is.
That's what they tell me. The South Hill Neighborhood Association started this summer with a fun in the sun day at the Dankworth Pool Park. We had 750 children and their families at the park, and we, with other donors, provided hot dogs, chips, and bottled water. We also, South Hill Neighborhood Association, distributed 500 one-day pool passes to kids in the community, and 210 of those have already been cashed in. Those have been used by children all across Burlington, but primarily in South Hill. But they were distributed and made, as the free swim day was made open to anybody in Burlington. 65 children have received 2 weeks of swimming lessons free through us this summer. And all these projects have been funded through a special grant that we've been able, grant monies that we have intentionally taken that money and directed it towards swimming. We didn't have to, that was our choice, to put that money into children's swimming, and for many reasons. We have the intention to do it, but the truth is that these funds will not be available in the future, and we'd like to find a way to continue to promote the use of the city pool and all the different reasons for supporting the pool in some kind of formal or informal partnership to get the pool to keep being more used. The reason we support the pool is because it teaches children water safety. Am I talking too fast?
You're fine.
Okay, I can talk faster. We want to teach them water safety and water life skills. We want to have them have healthy exercise opportunities, to have positive, affordable activities in town, and to give children things to do in the summer. It's also a marketing tool for the city pool, encouraging everyone to use the pool for free at first, but to use the pool all summer long. We would like to set up a system this summer and next summer at a flat rate of $500 a day, 1 day every other week, all summer long. We think it'll be about 6 or 7 days next summer, right? This summer we're looking at just 2 days. We're looking at July 28th, which is this Thursday, and August 8th. But that's the free days that we have set for this summer. There won't be any more for this summer. This summer, we're really talking this summer and next. And we know that we could rent the pool for a private party at night for a lot less money, but we would rather invite everyone to come and use the pool and encourage the use of the pool. South Hill would work with the city to arrange the free days and collect funds for this if we could come to a price for the day that is fair and reasonable. The advantages to the city is promoting the use and increase the use of the city pool to provide safe activities for children and reduce the impact of the summer on the police activities in town. You want to say anything, Dana? Dana will answer all your questions.
Got your counterpuncher with you tonight. All righty.
Nice job.
Do you got any questions of
I just,
what we threw out there?
I thought you brought up a great point with getting the kids active and giving them something to do. I realize that this is not going to make the city any money for that pool, but I don't think that should be the bottom line. This is just me personally. I don't think that should be the bottom line on every decision made. I support the pool. I support the kids being off the streets, and I'm not comparing it to this, but this is what I was thinking about. I remember the police chief coming to us and saying, well, we got a report, and he said our calls have gone up, and a lot of the calls, the reason why they've gone up is because of the lack of the support from the mental health part of the state, where they've dropped a lot of programs, closed MHI, that sort of thing. So a lot of the calls that they get now actually for the fire department and for the police department, they've gone up, and some of the reason is because of that. Some things you just can't put a price tag on, and as for me, I support it. I go back to the days when I used to swim, and I was stopping at the gas station one time to pick up some ice on my way home for my daughter, and there was 2 kids on bikes, and man, they were just beat up. Skin was just as dry from that, and I said, hey, where you cats coming from? I said, you guys were swimming today? They said, yes, sir. I said, "You're wore out, aren't you?" They said, "Uh-huh." I said, "What are you gonna do?" "I want to go home, get a sandwich, and lay down." I said, "All righty." I said, "It reminds me of old times." I said, "Well, I used to look forward to that. That was the only time I laid down was at night and after a day at the pool." But I do. I support it, and I know that it's going to cost us some money. I know that, but I'm looking at the overall, what it does for the community, what it does for the kids, give them something to do, and I don't have a problem with it. I just think it's great what you guys are doing. I just want to state that to you guys from the chair. Council?
What's the age area?
We actually, for the swimming, we had whole families there. That's why for us, it's real important to have it be per person. Because for anyone, I don't want to just say for children, because then you don't get the parents there, then you don't have the parental supervision supporting the lifeguards.
Carol, tell me again how many times,
We're
you said
looking
every
at,
other week next summer?
it would be 6 or 7 times in the
6 or
summer.
7.
Yeah, our hope is that this will get them to the pool, and once they've started, we might get more active use of the city pool. You know, just getting them out there helps.
In our memo from Parks, it says roughly $800 to, is that a break even or not quite?
No, that was just the amount, I guess, based on our current charges that we've done for other individuals. And then looking at our costs that we have over the course of the year, and then knowing that we're gonna have additional costs with additional staff for larger days, that was the number we felt comfortable that we could put out there as a price for that. But it's not something, we're not the ones that set the fees, that's up to the council, but just
We-
something we felt comfortable.
We tried to have something that was in there that was comparable to our
Yeah.
typical price structure. Who is it that, there's another group that rents this or pays for,
NAACP.
Gentlemen's
The
Club.
Gentlemen's Club does 200, up to 200 for $600, so this would, I assume that you'd have this something that they could then sponsor at if you're gonna do a different rate or a lower rate, you'd be offering them to do that instead of what they're doing. But our costs are higher on these days, and this is at the $500, you're gonna be bringing in less. We never net out, anyway. We lose money on the pool, we know we're gonna lose money. But these are the days that are our high stress days. When we had the 750,
Wasn't it great, though?
It was,
I mean, how
it was,
awesome is that?
it was nice, but we don't have the staff to do it. And I think you ended up having, Brad, who doesn't work at the pool, having to staff that day because we just don't have enough staff to cover it.
It's okay.
But, I mean, it was a nice problem to have and to see the pool get used that much, but we'd be in a little bit of a jam. We'd have to change how we do things at the pool if we had that every other week.
Your liabilities.
Now, I don't think that we're gonna have that
Same.
because I think that having it the first day, it was a unique thing. So I don't think that you're gonna see a free day at the pool bring in that many people in the future anyway.
Do you guys consider what you make in concessions?
That's
Yeah.
part of our overall revenue, yeah.
So that's, you know,
And I divided it. It
What's
didn't
that?
include the price of concessions. When I did the math on it, it didn't address the concession income. I didn't think on the,
What-
just from your budget expenses,
What are you talking about?
just from your city budget for the pool, does it include the income of the pool, of the,
concessions?
I guess I'm not following, what are you, I'm
when
not
I
following
went
what
to
you're
your
talking.
city budget
Mhm.
and divided the number of days in the year that you might expect swimming,
Mhm.
I could see where you came up with your number, but that didn't seem to include anything from the,
Concessions, that we could tell. So you're still getting extra money from concessions?
I mean, if you'll make money on concessions, even when we serve 400 hot dogs.
Yeah.
You guys still made hundreds of dollars on concessions that day. It's not like kids don't eat junk food just because they get a hot dog
Yeah,
and a
they
hamburger.
managed to come with $3 or $4, and they left it with you at the city for food,
Okay.
besides what we gave them.
It's not an issue for me, so I mean, that's.
I'm
whether they
just
do it.
saying there's more money that comes in than just the rate we pay.
Is there a limit on how many people can be at the pool at one time?
It's based on staffing, and I don't have the exact breakdown, but there's cutoffs of how many lifeguards you have to have on duty based on the staffing that we're able to provide. So there may be that we have to cut it off if we don't have the staffing available. It is a high number. I think after the first couple hundred, it's one lifeguard per 75 or 100 people there, but we still have to have that, meet those numbers to be able to staff it.
And you would know when we're gonna have it, because we would sit with you to pick the date.
Because you what? I didn't hear.
We would sit with the city to pick the date, or meet with the pool management to say which dates is acceptable with you, that you could have the right staffing, so we could have the free day.
And in fact, we could pick a day that would probably be a slower day normally, like weekends are slower for the pool. So it's not like we'd be cutting into the revenue of the higher pool days. Higher use pool days.
Opposite, weekends are higher,
The week is
weekdays.
slower.
He told me they were the slower.
Oh, really?
That's what Brad said, but I thought it might be the opposite too.
Really
But
depends
you
on
know
the
what,
weather.
the reality is the kids do, a lot of kids have a lot to do. There's baseball, softball, ASA, there's a lot of things, and they don't want them swimming, but we do.
That's right.
So, any other questions for us? A lot of our funds that we were actually solicited by us from members of the community that really want to see the kids have something to do,
I guess there's one other question.
besides our grant money, so
The 2 days you have this fall are covered?
they can be, yeah, but,
I mean, you've raised the money for them, I'm asking.
but if you did 500, we could give them hot dogs.
Yes.
I just want to say again, I thank everybody involved for the job that they've done for raising money for the pool, and I just think that we got some great volunteers in this community. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't get a chance to weigh in.
Come back up here, please.
They don't need to be up there.
We can look in the eye up here or back there.
I've got a couple of concerns. One is the number of people that attend. You asked the excellent question, and I want to make certain that we don't put the city in jeopardy by allowing this sort of thing and having too many people there and not enough staff there, or having enough staff in it, but just simply not being enough people. Just yesterday, I read on AOL where there was a child swimming or laying face down in a pool surrounded by people, and nobody had any idea that he had drowned. They were able to revive him, but it was just a case of too many people there. And the other thing I want to keep in mind is we almost closed that pool because of revenue and expense. And I'm not going to give away the farm and risk losing the pool to subsidize a program. And God bless you for what you do, but I'm not going to risk closing the pool forever to have 5 or 6 days where it's going to cost us more. And according to the numbers we got from management, it does cost us more than what we bring in on those particular days. And I don't, we subsidize it anyway. That's the bottom line that I have to look at, is what it's going to cost. It's a great program, but we may have to talk numbers other than what you're comfortable with and what actually it's going to take to cover our expenses.
And I understand that. I just think that the council needs to look heavily at, you talk about how much you want to be a partner with the kids in our community and the parents, and you need to look big at that.
I think we also need to be, just to be mindful, not to forget that the golf course hasn't made money for a long time, and,
We're still golfing.
I'm just saying, we need to look at all of them, and everything shouldn't be the bottom line. I'm just throwing that
Well,
out there.
that may be true, but we don't offer free golf days on the golf course either. so-
No,
But
no,
I
we're
would
not. We're
say-
offering a free
But
swim day there.
that's a side issue. If we do 6 or 7 and we go with $500 as opposed to $800, that means $1,800 to $2,100. We have to come up with it somewhere else in the budget to cover that cost. And whether that's worth it or not, I guess we all have to decide that. We don't have to decide that today.
No, but we're
I
gonna
think-
decide at some point in time that it's 2,100, not 21 grand. Go ahead.
The question I have is, what do you actually bring in on these days? Rather than what it cost you for those days? Because it's really not what it cost you for those days, but it's actually how much are you bringing in $150, $250 and we're giving you $500? Or are you bringing in $800 every day?
We're bringing in a bunch of kids to let them swim all day. That's what we're
It's
bringing.
Well, that's what we're
It's
looking,
both.
it's both. It's
It's
a,
both. We're just trying to say, it's not just how much it costs to run the pool, but it's also how much you bring into that pool. And with the more kids there, the more they're gonna eat, the more they're gonna spend the money there. They may not spend it on their ticket in, but they'll be spending it on their food.
Yeah, my only concern is, the safety, just
I'm with
because
you on that.
Oh, yeah.
That's manageable.
if they had to bring in people who aren't even there to be lifeguards.
Well, they can't do that. It wouldn't be, the city
They
can't
wouldn't.
bring somebody that's not a
Right.
lifeguard in. It's not.
Well, yeah, but somebody who's
You
not,
know.
usually there or works there at all. Yeah, so I guess that would just something that we'd have to hash out at the time, I guess, based on an estimate of how many people. It's hard though. It'd
I
be
was,
really
hey,
hard.
Eric, can you give us a number of how many kids that were not in the grant program that took swimming lessons?
I don't
If
have
South
those
Hill
in,
wouldn't have stepped up to do that.
I don't have those in front of me. I'd have to.
I'd like to get that,
Yeah.
because I think we were over half. We brought over half of those kids to the swimming
Which
lessons.
is a good thing.
We'll add too, the day that I was out there that you had the free pool. I was physically out there, looked around, walked around the pool, and it wasn't like it was jam-packed in the pool where kids on top of kids. It wasn't even like that. It was, you could definitely see
There was
everything that
movement.
was
You could
going
see
on,
what
but
was
it was
going
a,
on.
yeah, I thought it was phenomenal.
I have to agree, maybe we won't have 750 again. But I think that we would have a steady flow of kids getting used to the pool. And the idea is for them to see the pool and want to be there and say, okay, I can spend $350, or maybe mom and dad won't buy a pack of cigarettes and let their kids spend $350 to come swim. And so when we open up the families, they come and see the value of it. That was the whole plan, so we'd just
Again,
like to.
Jim asked the question, you've already raised money, though, you say, for the 2 days this summer?
Mhm. Well, we had to add to it, but yes, the South Hill would have to add out of our grant money to finish up, but we have raised money we thought we had enough for 2 days. So we were thinking that would be, if it could be $500, we had enough for 2 days. And then, well, it would have been 3, yeah. So now we can split that up and add the difference.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
down.
Thank you, ladies.
Okay, let's back up to number 1, treasurer's report. Annette?
Is the council wanting us to create a new revenue or expense category here? We have a fee schedule in place for the pool. Were you wanting us to create a new category for a free day at the pool?
I don't.
I don't know what you mean.
For $500, is that,
Instead of the 800
Ins-
that you guys had.
yeah.
No.
I do. I didn't know we were gonna.
I mean, that's what the intent of that request is, and if that would be the action item that would follow from this.
But how many people would be able to take advantage of that? Anybody?
Yes.
That's,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's no limit.
You can't do it for one
Right.
group, and maybe North Hills
We'd have to-
Association wants to come in,
yeah.
or the Gentlemen's Club,
Mhm.
or you and your neighbors, whatever.
Well, I mean, just because we have that doesn't mean we're gonna open up every day, I mean, it's still a pool. We can limit
But-
how many days that anybody gets to utilize that.
How you do that?
How are you doing that?
What do you mean, how are we doing that? We can say that, we're only going to have, we can only, within the budget, do 6 days per summer at that special price, and who's the only people that are doing it? Just the Gentlemen's Club and now South Hill, right?
Well,
That's the only people
as
that
of
have ever done
now,
it.
but if you offer it, then who knows how many other groups might wanna do it. But we don't have to make this.
You don't
decision
have
right
to,
now.
but do you
We're
want
supposed
it
to
to
make it
come
till next
forward
week,
as
but
do you want it to come forward as an action item?
Not right now. Why do we need to do it right now?
You don't have to now, but do you let it just die and you're not gonna bring it up anymore? That's what the request was. Do you wanna consider the request, or are you asking for it to die?
I want to consider it.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I'd like more discussion on it, I guess.
You know, we get an opportunity to show our commitment toward the kids in this community, and to me, I think we're missing out on an opportunity with this pool. It's something small that's $2,100, or what, 3,000? It's not 300,000, and we spend a lot more money on other things. I feel like this is an opportunity that, yeah, it might take an extra lifeguard, okay? It's keeping kids off the streets, they're swimming.
Yeah, I gotta think about it some more. Cause you keep saying kids, but then they tell us families, right? It could be
Well, I think
parents.
that's
kids,
even more
families,
important. I mean, if the families are involved, that's a lot more important than just the kids being dropped off, in my opinion.
Well, I'm not hearing anybody else giving me an amen, so we're not gonna sit here in silence all day. Annette?
In the packet was June's preliminary treasurer's report. So, as you know, from year to year, this is going to change a lot between now and the final June numbers. Because we're gonna be accruing for the next 60 days after June 30th, all expenses and all revenues. So I don't know how much you guys want me to talk about it, because, like I said, the big accrual receipt entry will happen after July. We'll get a lot of money, but we'll still be getting money in August that's for things that happen before year end, and same with paying bills. I mean, right now, we're in pretty good shape with this, and I don't expect it to be, I expect it to be better, but,
I like to hear that.
yeah, I mean,
Nothing standing out to you that,
no, I mean, we've made a lot of transfers in this period that you're looking at right now, but there are gonna be a few more that happen in July that you'll see when I update the numbers for next month. So for a few months, Annie, just so you know, you'll get 2 treasurer's reports. I'll keep updating June and we'll keep going forward.
Okay.
So,
you guys good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Annette.
you're welcome.
Nick McGregor, presentation, paint the plows, excuse me.
Eric will be throwing some pictures up on the screen here shortly. My intent with this paint the plows, well, I guess I should give you a background on what it would do. We would prime the plows with some paint and then deliver it to the schools and then
Excuse-
have them paint
Okay, Annette, could you switch over to the computer here?
artistic drawings on the front of the snow plows. I want to try and use it as a public outreach and public education aspect. I know it's a little early to start talking about snow.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But several of these have been done across with the Department of Transportation's, and then City of Sioux Falls is the one I saw.
I like that one.
And so my intent is to get the plows delivered to the schools and have them paint them with artistic drawings. And then during City Week, do some sort of presentation and some sort of contest associated with it.
Sweet.
And then I put this on the end, kind of doing at City Week, my intent is to try and have some sort of public safety, education on, these snowplows are massive pieces of equipment and, it's not safe to be in certain areas. And that way they can visualize what it is. And that way the children also have the youth that are painting it have it under, they have an identification to that snowplow. Some of the details aren't worked out yet, but I just wanted to give you an update since I've talked to the superintendent in the school and, they're on board and hopefully trying to get some free paint out of the deal.
I think you said Sioux City and Sioux Falls.
Sioux
have
Falls
done this?
did, yep. Yep.
I'll be up there.
I think that's cool,
Yeah.
Nick. I think that's,
It's a
that's
great
really
idea.
cool. Council?
Love it.
I think
That's
great
it.
idea.
Minimal dollar thing. That's the nice thing.
It's just, we
A couple $100 is what I'm expecting if I don't get all the paint donated for free.
That's gonna be pretty cool.
Good job, Nick.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The more that we can do with the school, the better.
Next, we have Pokemon Go request. Is anybody here for Pokemon? I don't see
Yes.
anybody, huh?
Oh, no.
Oh.
thought you were just talking who plays.
Oh, okay, well, we've got one player on the council, and, I had some kids reach out to me, they wanted to get some benches and some, trash cans put over by the hot
Oh.
spot down the street.
Trash cans would be nice.
And I reached out to the churches because I wasn't sure how they felt with kids even playing around by their area, you know, and sitting on the steps and whatnot. And they took it upon themselves they're giving them stuff to drink, and they set out trash cans, and there's one bench already there. So, you know, I asked the kid that I spoke with, I said, well, what really do you need from the council? You know, that the church has really stepped up and took the lead on it, and I didn't even get a response from him, so I think I can let this die out unless something else happens. But-
Sounds like they've got it covered.
Yeah, they do.
I talked to Braden about trash cans specifically, and we're gonna order a couple just for temporary, to bop around, some that you could, they're
Good.
sheeted metal with, so you could probably just tap it down into the grass, and they could be temporary, wouldn't be a long term. I mean, you know, it wouldn't blow around, but a couple $100 would have a trash can that we could use other places.
Cool.
The bench, Jim and I talked about it. I don't know if it would conflict with ADA compliance, especially on the two streets, just because the sidewalk's too minimal.
When I
But
was a kid, we sat on the grass.
yeah, that's my thought. But the trash cans are definitely going to happen. I just don't know when they'll get here, but I'll let you know when they do.
And there's a wall they sit on anyway on the steps.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
taken care of.
All right. Man, Nick, you're on it, man. Good deal. Okay, appointments? Any comments on that, you guys? Any problems?
Sadly, Bob Gertis has resigned. Grant Bartow, who I don't know Grant Bartow.
I don't either. You guys satisfied then?
Yeah.
I say thanks, Grant, for showing interest. And thanks, Mr. Gertis, for the time. Okay, we have 3 future discussion items. One's the pop unit. Did you want to say anything about that at all tonight, or?
I think he just wants to give an update at the next meeting on what's going on and how it's progressing. It's been in existence since May. June 1st, so.
So I'll take it that that's for the rest of these other ones too. Okay.
The depot, just in terms of what those are, depot update would be the general construction project that we have going on with some of the change orders that have been talked about and how would be funded. We've talked with the Friends of the Depot and those involved with the project, that the city's committed to the $120,000. And beyond that, any change orders would be all their responsibility. I think that's just kind of an update to see, just to talk about the status of where we sit with that. And the depot lease would have to do with the Greer's Restaurant area and their request to lease the facility. They just weren't ready to present tonight.
Restaurant's gonna happen, how do you think?
There's a few steps left in that process, but
Okay.
this is one of it is to get a lease on the facility.
It's all right.
Mr. Tisland? Councilwoman Wilson?
Yes. I just wanted to, put it out there. There's a bunch of things going on this weekend. And actually, the Des Moines County Fair starts tomorrow to August 2nd. Farmers Market this Thursday, 5 to 7. Friday Fest at the Port. I mean, there's so much going on at the Port from 5:30 to 8. And I hear there's a band there, Eric Pettit Lion.
It's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, they are really good. And then I just wanted to let you know that I am behind you with the swimming pool.
What's that now?
The swimming pool, the fees. In a sense, the positives outweigh the negatives. My only concern again is safety, so I'd like to, get that kind of stuff hashed out. That is all.
Right on. Councilman Scott?
I got a call from John Mercer at the hospital this weekend. They're going to light the night sky blue out at the hospital. They're gonna put in several blue spotlights they've got I think he said 140 bullards, is that the right word for it? Those posts that stick up that for traffic safety. They've got lights in them. He said that he doesn't think they're gonna do all of them, but they're gonna change out a bunch of those. And then they're going to have, they have a casual day where you can come to work casual. I don't know what's more casual than a nurse uniform, nurse uniform. but-
Scrubs, yeah.
but, scrubs is what I was looking for. But they charge a fee for that, and they usually give that money to an organization. They're gonna give it to local law enforcement for different efforts.
And there's a lot of people there that don't wear scrubs to work, so that's
Yeah.
probably what it applies to.
So they are, said they're huge supporters of local law enforcement, and they wanna let it be known. Having said that, I've handed out about 450 light bulbs so far. And I've got a couple more I've gotta take out tonight. And then on the 31st, from 2 to 5 at the Moose Club, there's going to be an event for law enforcement. And I happen to be a member of the Moose, so they've asked me to come out and bring my light bulbs. So I don't know what they have in mind, but I'm gonna take light bulbs. And then you've got the card on boots and
Yeah, I was
blanks.
gonna, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I didn't,
Boots and badges.
yes, so the softball game, Boots versus Badges, again, you know, that's August 6th, starts at 11. A fundraiser for the K-9 unit. It's gonna be really fun, I assume. The tickets, where can we?
We have tickets down at the police department.
Okay, so tickets down at the police department
The fire department also.
and the fire department. So I encourage a lot of people to, you know, buy a ticket and come out for a little bit. I hear there's 3 games. Yeah, 3 games. So
They're also doing a silent auction. If anybody would like to donate anything to that, get a hold of Cal Heitmeyer out in West Burlington. If you need his contact information, call me and I'll give it to you, get it for you. He's the one heading this thing up, and great young fella. He's on the fire department out at the ordnance plant, and also a volunteer firefighter in West Burlington. And then I have had several requests on a daily basis, and I guess it's because of my neighborhood, that something be done with the corner of 8th and Washington Street. The individual that has been asked to vacate that property and has returned. It is his property, but he's now apparently living on the neighbor's property, but has quite a bit of stuff on his property. I had an email from a lady today wondering why we're not enforcing our codes and ordinances. And she did not want her name to be released because she's a single woman, but she said she feels sorry for the person. She believes in personal property rights, but she said there are certain codes and they're in place for the public's health, and that she really would like to see something done. It's right at my back door, and there are no restroom facilities up there, so I can only imagine that the hill behind my business has become a toilet, and it's offensive. And ouch. There's a lot of the neighbors have spoke to me on numerous occasions, and they want something done.
We went to court for that. How was that settled? Remember?
He was ordered to vacate, or otherwise he'd be fined $750 a day, and he did vacate within time frame. We did clean up property before as a nuisance, and something we're probably gonna have to work police on someone else's property, and contacted that property owner as well. Majority, 90% of the stuff is on the neighbor's property now. It's not on his own property, so as a nuisance, it would be against that property owner. So something I talked to Doug on last week, and
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Scott?
That's it.
The only one I've got is, they had a luncheon grilled out to the Public Works Department, last week, headed by Nick, our new, head of Public Works, and Assistant, City Manager, and how many other hats you wearing? We'll talk about it later, but anyways, it was a good day to get out and, to shake some hands with some people that help keep Burlington glued together. They're a great set of men and young ladies, and we're really, really blessed to have them. And Nick, I like the way you come in, man. You're just getting right after it, so really feel blessed to have you as well. Thanks for giving me the invite. Got to stop out there and spend some time with them. And Bob showed up, of course, in his shorts to show off his legs. It was a good day. It was a good day. The next time you do that, make sure you let us all know.
Talking about me.
It was good. It was good. Mayor Pro Tem.
Also, I appreciated the city employees getting together out the golf course last Thursday for the city employees golf tournament, golf outing. I guess you can't really call it a tournament, can you? It was an outing. It looked like everyone had a good time, and appreciated the people that put that together. And I'm done.
Mr. Fleming.
I'm done, but I reserve the right to comment at a later date.
You always do.
Except,
Birthday boy.
except, did you get the answer you wanted about the swimming pool thing, or are you left hanging?
We're
Mickey's
left
hanging.
hanging. I think that has to do with some indecisiveness from the group, so.
Okay.
Until we hear something else, I mean, we'll put it on when you're ready for it, but you'll have to let us know what you want to see for further action.
I don't want to leave those folks hanging that have made that request. I think for me, you bring it forward.
Bring
as
it
an
back
action
as a
item
resolution next time.
And
But no, as I understand it, for the 2 days this summer, they've got that covered, is that correct?
They do.
That's right.
they've got that fee covered. The $500 is what
They've-
they want to pay.
They've
Actually,
raised
Nick,
$1,500 from 3 separate businesses and possibly another 100, but I think they're covering the other 100 from their grant funds. So they've established how they're gonna cover the cost on those first 2. Now, if you were to put that fee in place, that reduced fee, their goal then, as she was explaining, was they would use some of the additional money that they have to cover food costs, to
is there
provide
any way
free
we
food.
could meet in the middle somewhere? Like not go so low as, 500, but not go as high as the 800?
It's,
Right, I'm just putting
It's-
that out there as a thing too, for everyone here.
one of the things that I think from an operational perspective, where that fee is doesn't matter a tremendous amount from an operational perspective. What matters from an operational perspective, the difficulty that they have, when you have high number days with kids, you need more lifeguards. But then you have your other days where you only have 150 to 200. You can only hire so many part-time
Right.
lifeguards, and having enough to meet the high stress when it's a day every other week, getting that number like that is kind of difficult to ramp up and down. It's easier at a steady, static level. But, I mean, we'll do what we need to do. It's going to make it a little bit more, it's more problematic.
Let me ask this, just not to kill this thing off. Would you guys be more apt to agree with, or to go along with this if we just committed to a maximum of 4 days per summer, that we would let the South Hill neighborhood?
I'm not gonna give one group
Right.
an advantage over another. If there's another group that comes in that wants to do it for $500 also, then that's what it's gotta be. We've established a price of $800, and that's what it needs to be, unless we want to change that,
Exactly.
change the parameters. I mean, and we can do a $500 thing if we put a limit on the number of people that attend. I mean, I think we have a lot of options.
Yeah, we do, really.
But I'm real reluctant to do the $500 thing, because we will see more groups come in that wanna do that as well. And we can't treat any other group any differently from.
So the gentleman's club, it's The first 200 people, right, and
Yeah,
they're
is it-
$600.
For children age 3 to 14, it's $3 admission, and they just
Yeah.
basically cover the first 200 kids, and then adults pay, and after that, you pay. So they're just covering, $600 just covers the actual cost.
But we already have a price established, $800 unlimited, correct?
We don't. No, that's just something that we could throw out as a ballpark for where we're trying to at least come up with something that's even with what we would have if we were
But-
charging
but
our regular
to-
fees.
To the point, for these 2 remaining sessions, they have agreed to go the $800, correct?
They have,
Yes.
but they'd still like you to consider.
Well, if they can't raise the last $800, I'll pay it.
They-
Well,
Or
they're
the
trying-
not $800, last $100, they $800.
Wow.
Hit me
Deep
next time.
pockets.
No, I don't have that deep, but
Well, you'd have to fight me first.
I would, if they've established $800 price, and if that's what they're short is $100, I'd step up on
I
it.
Do you guys have a problem with bringing it forth as, at the $800 that staff came forward with? Do you guys have a problem with that, so we can get that?
No, that'd be great. I don't have a problem with that.
We'll bring it forward, and
Just
you
the
guys have
$500.
plenty of time, 2 weeks until the next time it would come up, and as you all think about it, you can make adjustments or fight back and forth between yourselves on
We'd have to make
what
it
you
clear
wanna see.
whatever we come up with, though, and that's your point. This isn't just for the South Hill, this is
Right.
for any group.
Yeah, and I'm not saying
Right.
there's an issue there. I'm just saying, even still, if we had it $100, it's not like we can have every day where somebody can buy it out. It's a
Right.
public swimming
Oh,
pool for
exactly.
people to use, so.
Well, and I think Andy's and my concern on the number of people at one time in that facility needs to be researched. And you're only allowed so many people in certain buildings.
Right,
and,
that's what my
uh,
thought was.
limits in restaurants and that sort of thing. I would like to know what that is, so that we don't put ourselves in jeopardy as a community and or put a young life in jeopardy by not having adequate coverage or too many people in a.
Well, it all goes back to staffing levels, because
I mean,
I can say
could
as
you-
a former lifeguard, there's a certain number of people you can handle, and after that point, you just have to keep adding lifeguards, and where you're gonna get them is the
That's the
issue.
problem.
You get somebody like him and me at a swimming pool when we were younger, that takes an awful lot of attention away from the lifeguards,
Yeah.
because we were
Yeah,
millions.
yeah.
Well, why you gotta bring me in on this?
'Cause you
Shoot,
admitted
everybody
it.
knows, you're right. Okay, well, so we'll bring that back in a couple weeks. Is there anything, can you come up here real quick and, you in the front, yeah. Yeah, you, like, can you come up here and, tell us what you did today for a few minutes? Or what you did yesterday or whatever? Before we close out? Yeah, on Friday. You gonna hang out with the birthday boy.
My name is Justin Williams. I'm going to be a senior at BHS, and I live on River Street. I remember that was important. I came in on Friday, and I was walking around learning a few things with Mr. Furneaux, and I'm interested in going into federal level politics after I graduate, so I'm planning on going up to Iowa, majoring in political science, and I'm just trying to figure out what it's like up here on the local level first.
All right.
Good.
All politics are local. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
So Jocelyn got to spend a couple of hours last week. You're going to come in next week for our department head meeting, sit
Yes.
through that and listen to how those discussions go.
I'm glad you're thinking ahead. This is good. Somebody gave you good counsel.
Thank you.
Getting a chance to see how exciting Burlington is. We rock down here.
Yeah.
That's how we roll.
We need a candidate for president.
Yeah.
You want to step up right now?
Yeah.
Now it's time to close her down.
35.
Yes, you've done
I know that.
City manager, you take us out.
But
She
if
might
she
be.
can get enough votes, she can have the office.
She might be mature. Oh, oops,
Charlie was able to organize getting Senator Courtney, Tom Courtney, here last week.
Lopesack.
Lopesack. Dang it, Dave Lopesack. I like that I can get this right. Last week, Nick sat in on that meeting. Charlie Nichols. And it was about the flood wall, really talking a little bit about what we're doing with the flood wall and just trying to talk through seeing if we can make sure that we keep that as a front burner issue for LoBSAC as on a federal level as well, as there are opportunities to think about rulemaking, fund making. We'd like to see, ideally, but at least on a rulemaking basis to make sure that we have him up to speed with what we're doing here on a local basis. And it's nice to see that his office has been willing to put the time into just being present for us and listening to what has to happen and trying to be a good partner. So just a shout out if I can get the right name, which I can't do.
Thank you, Mayor and Councilmember Fleming, for coming last week. It was a good time. I will probably be trying to do this on like a quarterly basis down there, so I'll let you know ahead of time, so you can show up promptly at 11:30.
Thank you, Mr. Matt. All right. If there's nothing else, Jim, did you have anything else? Okay. Mr. Fleming, what do you think we ought to do?
I think we ought to go home.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.